My name is Hannah Corner. I'm 29 years old, and for most of my life, I learned how to make myself smaller without anyone ever asking me to. If you grew up in a family with a golden child, you don't need an explanation. You learn the rules before you learn the language. You learn them in the way praise skips over you, in the way mistakes stick to you longer, in the way expectations only ever travel in one direction. In my family, my younger brother Mason was the son. I was the furniture, useful, replaceable, expected to stay where I was put. When I was 12, I saved for months to buy a used BMX bike, mowing lawns, raking leaves, selling a stack of old games to a kid down the block who always smelled like bubble gum. I counted every dollar twice before handing them over, terrified someone would tell me I hadn't earned it. The first day I rode it, Mason asked to borrow it. He was 14 then, older, louder, already convinced the world bent slightly toward him. He tried to hop a curb he couldn't clear, bent the front rim clean in half, and told our parents I'd left it outside like an idiot. I got grounded for a week. I paid for the repair. He got pizza. I remember the grease soaking through the cardboard box while he laughed on the couch. I remember thinking, oh, so this is how it works. By 15, I understood the system perfectly. I brought home a B in geometry, and my mom confiscated my phone to help me refocus. Mason failed 2 classes his junior year, and my parents rewarded his stress with a used Mustang because apparently responsibility arrives faster if it's wrapped in leather seats. It was titled in my dad's name, of course. Insurance is complicated. Accountability is not. College was never a question for me. It was an assumption, one I was expected to finance myself. I worked nights in a warehouse and mornings pulling espresso shots for commuters who never remembered my name. I graduated with a degree and a mountain of loans that followed me everywhere, like a stray cat that refused to be ignored. 1 year later, Mason decided school wasn't for him. My parents cut him a check for a 9-month business accelerator. They called it an investment. I called it what it was: permission to fail loudly without consequences. He spent that year networking, which mostly meant talking about drop shipping until it pivoted into consulting. He was always building something big: family code for burning money and calling it ambition. By the time I had a diploma and enough clarity to name the pattern, I moved out and turned my family volume way down. Not out of spite, out of self-preservation. You can love people and still limit the ways they hurt you. It took me a long time to learn that. At 26, I started dating Lucas. We met in a hardware store because apparently my life enjoys irony. My cart was full of fasteners and brackets. His was full of paint samples he hadn't committed to yet. He made a joke about overthinking choices. I laughed harder than I expected to. Lucas was steady, thoughtful. He listened like he wasn't waiting for his turn to talk. Being with him felt quiet in a way that didn't ask me to perform. For the first time, I felt chosen without being tested. 8 months in, that illusion cracked. I found screenshots on his tablet, messages to a woman named Naomi, dates that matched girls' nights, explanations that arrived fully formed, complete with tears. It didn't mean anything. We were on a break. And then the pivot. How dare I snoop? I ended it. Cleanly. Blocked her. Returned her things. I told myself that was the end of the story. It wasn't. It was the trailer for a sequel I never agreed to watch. First came messages from numbers I didn't recognize, then accidental run-ins at places she knew I went. It escalated into gifts I never asked for, things so specific it felt like she was standing just outside my line of sight. A rare tool I'd mentioned once. A book with a sticky note on a technique I liked. Cute until it wasn't. She showed up at my gym. Then at the grocery store, her cart filled with the exact brands I bought. Not similar. Exact. She apologized for cheating in one text, followed it with, "You made me do it in the next." Push and pull. Confession and blame, like she was trying to wire me for a reaction. Then she went public. She came to my office lobby just before noon with a glass container of chicken and rice, told the front desk she was my fiancé, and wrote my last name on the visitor sticker without asking. Asked to be added as my emergency contact because I get lightheaded sometimes. Security logged it. HR emailed me asking to clarify my relationship status because she'd also sent a message about me being distracted by heartbreak. I forwarded everything to a folder and told the front desk she was never to be badged in again. At 2:14 a.m., my door camera caught her dropping a flash drive on my porch. It wasn't illegal footage, just me, walking into work, at the gym, existing. I imaged the drive on a clean machine and started a folder labeled Court. Screenshots, dates, logs, serial numbers, all of it. I filed a police report. The officer was honest. Without a direct threat or a restraining order violation, it was light. He did a courtesy call. She mailed me a letter. I'm not crazy. I make choices. You made me feel invisible. I tightened my routines, stopped posting locations, moved a camera, made my life deliberately boring. 2 months passed, with no messages, no sightings, no packages. It felt like when a fridge stops humming and you realize you've been living with noise. I started sleeping again. I didn't trust the peace, but I used it. Then my mom texted, "Family dinner, Sunday. Your brother has news. Please come." She really wanted you here. That last line stuck in my teeth. I asked who she was. No answer. I went anyway, because hope is the part of your brain that never checks the budget. I didn't know then that the worst betrayal of my life wasn't behind me. It was waiting at the table. The house looked the same. Same white siding that never quite stayed clean. Same porch light that flickered if you didn't twist it just right. Same framed photos lining the entryway like a museum exhibit dedicated to one person's life. Mason. Graduations. Birthdays. A little league photo where he'd missed the ball, but somehow still made the frame. There was one picture of me, tucked near the hallway bathroom. A school portrait from sophomore year that still had the price sticker on the corner. No one noticed I was 5 minutes early. Mason opened the door with that practice host smile, the one people use when they want authority without warmth. He clapped my shoulder like I was an intern who'd shown up late. Try not to be late next time, he said. I checked my watch, didn't correct him. Mom floated in behind him, carrying plates and commentary. You didn't iron your shirt, she said instead of hello. You always make us look bad in front of people. Dad followed, already wearing his disappointed silence like a robe. We expect you to be supportive tonight, he said, as if there was a rubric. Supportive of what exactly, no one clarified. The table was set with precision. Mason at the head, Dad to his right, Mom across from him. My seat was at the far end, beneath the light that flickered. A folded sticky note sat on my plate. Be polite. I stared at it longer than necessary. 30 seconds. Maybe more. It felt important to understand the level of intention behind it. Then I heard heels. Not rushed, not hesitant, measured. She came out of the hallway carrying a fruit platter like she'd always lived there. Blue dress, neutral makeup, posture trained in reflective surfaces. Naomi, my ex. The woman who cheated on me. The woman who stalked me. The woman who dropped a flash drive on my porch at 2 a.m. like a calling card. Mason spread his arms. Everyone meet my fiancée, Naomi. My body did something strange. Not shock, not panic. More like a hard system reboot. I kept my face still. No scene. No satisfaction for her. She didn't look surprised to see me. She looked entertained. You made it, she said, her tone light, familiar, proprietary. I was hoping you would. She took the seat beside mine like it had been pre-assigned, close enough that her elbow hovered near mine without touching, a millimeter inside my space. Mom raised her glass immediately. To finding someone who elevates us, she said, eyes locked on Naomi like she'd manifested a promotion. Stability is such a blessing. Dad nodded. Stability is a choice, he added, looking directly at me. Some people get that earlier than others. Naomi ran the table like she'd been rehearsing. She corrected my mom on the salad dressing. Mason doesn't do seed oils anymore. She told my dad Mason should handle the housekeeper payments because he's so good with operations. She reached toward my plate. You still don't eat tomatoes, right? It wasn't a question. She moved them aside anyway. I remember you, she said softly. Details matter. It landed like a threat dressed as care. Under the small talk, she leaned toward me just enough for no one else to notice. Quiet, she whispered. Good to see you finally show up. Her hand rested on the table near mine, not touching, close enough to be intentional. She used my old nickname under her breath, one I hadn't heard since before I found the messages, like she was checking the wiring. Mom kept slipping insults between compliments. Isn't she so polished? She said about Naomi. Then, to me, you could be, if you tried. They talked about Mason's upcoming partnership. Dad did his numbers voice. 6 figures. On track. Big things. Mason nodded like a bobblehead. Naomi casually dropped the registry details. The engagement photos. She'd chosen my favorite hiking spot for them. Sentimental, she said, meeting my eyes. She placed her phone between our plates, screen down. The case was the same brand she'd bought when we were together. She wanted me to notice. I didn't. I stood and asked to use the hallway. She followed. "What are you doing?" I asked, keeping my voice low. "Having dinner," she said brightly, like she was presenting on a panel. "You cheated on me," I said. "You stalked me. Now you're engaged to my brother." "I don't like being replaced," she said. "This way you don't get to." I told her to go back to the table and tell the truth, or I would. She tilted her head, calculating angles. Then she raised her voice just enough. "Don't touch me." The room went silent. She stepped past me like she'd been shoved, hand to her chest, eyes glossy but dry. "He cornered me," she said. "He tried to touch me. He said disgusting things. I want to leave." Mason was on his feet before I could breathe. He crossed the room and hit me. Sloppy. All adrenaline. My cheek burned. I didn't fall. I didn't swing. Dad pointed at the door. "You will not ruin your brother's moment." Mom wrapped Naomi in her arms. "She's a ray of light," she said to me. "You've always been difficult." "I didn't do anything," I said. "Not ideal," Dad replied. I left. No speech, no slammed door. At home, I photographed my face and added a new subfolder to court. Assault. 3 days later, my calendar pinged. Family engagement logistics. Touch base organizer. Naomi. Agenda. Spreadsheet. Payment assignments. My name was bolded next to the largest numbers. Due Friday. Notes. Assigning to you since you have steady income. Eldest siblings traditionally sponsor public-facing events. This would be a meaningful gesture after last weekend. Mason texted, "You owe us." Dad followed, "Family balance matters." Mom added a heart emoji. "This is respect." Then Naomi, "If this is resolved by Friday, we can keep things in the family. I don't want to escalate." I stared at the screen and understood finally what they were doing. They weren't asking. They were billing me. By Monday morning, the spreadsheet had grown teeth. A shared drive invite hit my inbox at 9:14 a.m., titled Wells Corner Family Alignment. Naomi was the owner. Everyone else was a viewer, me included. Tabs lined the bottom like a budget presentation. Engagement party, photos, home upgrades, narrative. The last one was locked. I clicked engagement party. My name appeared again, bolded and centered next to the largest numbers. Venue retainer, $9,500. Hannah photographer. Deposit, $2,000. Hannah florals, $1,500. Hannah brand alignment session, $1,000. Hannah. Smaller items were scattered among my parents like consolation prizes. My total sat at the bottom, auto-calculated, highlighted in yellow. Due date, Friday 5 p.m. A comment bubble popped up next to the venue line. Naomi's name. Assigning to you since you have steady W-2 income. Easier for tax documentation. Another comment, same cell. Eldest siblings traditionally sponsor public-facing family events. And then like a courtesy knife twist, after last weekend's unpleasantness, this would be a meaningful gesture. My phone buzzed before I could finish reading. A new group chat. Corner engagement planning. Naomi pinned a message at the top. "Let's keep everything organized so there are no misunderstandings." Mason followed with a voice memo. I played it once, volume low. "You owe us to pay for this. You embarrassed us. Just handle it." Dad chimed in right after. "Consider this repayment for college guidance, car rides, meals, and a roof. Family balance matters." Mom added, "We've carried you emotionally for years. Show gratitude." The messages stacked quickly, overlapping, reinforcing each other like bricks. Then Naomi again. Public, polite, calculated. "For transparency, I've been gentle about what happened in the hallway because I don't want to escalate. If this is resolved by Friday, we can keep it in the family and I won't need to file anything formal." 2 seconds later, my payment app pinged. "You've been added to a group, Wells Family Engagement." Line items matched the spreadsheet exactly. Totals pre-split to my name. An automatic reminder appeared underneath. This payment helps avoid further steps. My stomach did that tight downward nod it had learned this year. I didn't reply. Instead, I screenshotted everything. The calendar invite, the spreadsheet, the chat, the payment group. I exported the files to PDF and dropped them into court, post-dinner with timestamps. At 4:41 p.m., the calendar invite updated. New title, Family Alignment, Private Location, My Parents' House. I declined. 10 minutes later, Naomi added a comment under the venue retainer. "Assuming good faith. Under the photographer deposit. If unpaid by Friday 5 p.m., we'll escalate." I clicked the narrative tab. Locked. Read only. But the preview showed enough. Bullet points. "We prioritize Naomi's safety. We are disappointed by Hannah's behavior. Payment of deposits demonstrates accountability and allows us to avoid formal statements. My name appeared again at the bottom. That night, my door camera caught a courier envelope slid under my mat. Inside, an invoice from an event strategy consultant. Line items for statement drafting, incident timeline, and employer communication templates. A sticky note on top in Naomi's handwriting. Per our conversation, assigning to you, Friday. There had been no conversation. On the back, taped in Mason's handwriting. Reminder, you owe us. Family first. I ate dinner standing up, like I might need to leave at any second. The next day, Mason texted from a new number. 15,000 by Friday, or I sue you for assaulting my woman. Dad followed. Make it right. Then Mason again. You're jealous, you owe us for everything. I screenshotted it all and emailed it to myself with a subject line that looked good on Discovery. Extortion attempt, M's Corner, 6:14 p.m. I could have gone to the police then. But I knew how my family talked about me. Dramatic, resentful, always playing the victim. I needed her words, not just mine. So I built a trap, a prepaid phone. Different carrier. 2 apps, auto call recorder and chat mirroring. A button camera I normally used for workbench videos. One-party consent was legal where I lived. I printed the statute, not because I needed a prop, but because I needed the confidence. Then I texted Naomi. It's me, I can't stop thinking about you. The typing bubble appeared, disappeared, returned. She asked who it was. I sent a photo of a custom hardware piece she'd given me when we were together. I messed up, I wrote, I still love you. She called. I let it ring twice, put it on speaker, hit record. You ready to admit you still want me? She said, amused. I'm ready to admit I was wrong, I replied, about how I handled us. You ghosted me after snooping, she said. You made me invisible. You started showing up everywhere after we ended. I tried to fix what you broke, she said calmly. You wouldn't listen. Then the line I needed. When I realized the only way to stay in your life was through your family, she said, bored. I adapted. Your brother is a means. You're the end. I swallowed. You told them I assaulted you. I neutralized you, she said. Words matter. I didn't file anything, did I? You emailed my company. I got bored, she said. None of it was illegal, I checked. She paused, then added softly, lock your windows better. Your blinds sit different now. I asked her to meet me. She chose the place, a mall food court, cameras everywhere. Wear the blue shirt I like, she said. Of course she did. Thursday night, I parked on the upper deck facing east so the dash cam could see arrivals. Button camera clipped. Phone recording armed. Zoom recorder running. Redundancy isn't paranoia when patterns repeat. It's preparation. I'd already called mall security earlier that day. The manager on duty was an old classmate. I didn't give details. I just said there might be an incident and asked if footage could be preserved with an incident number. If it's clean, he said, yes. I stopped by a notary on the way and signed a simple affidavit stating I was recording a conversation I was a party to for evidence of harassment and extortion. Not required. Comforting. She arrived at 7:06 p.m. Naomi looked exactly the way she always did when she knew people were watching. Composed, amused, certain. Like the room existed to hold her reflection. She smiled when she saw me, not surprised at all. You came, she said, pleased. We sat beneath a dead-ceiling light panel. I handed her a soda. She watched my hands like she was checking a lock. I gave her the bait I knew she'd take. I still love you, I said. Flat. No swelling music, no drama. Her smile deepened. Say you're sorry. I'm sorry, I said, for making you feel invisible, for not believing you could change. She leaned back, satisfied. You didn't believe me because you love control. You think you're the moral one. You're not. You just hide better. Why Mason? I asked. She didn't hesitate. Because he wants to be seen. He's a door that stays open if you flatter him. Your mom is obsessed with me. Your dad likes winners. She shrugged. 2 weeks and I had a key. You implied something criminal at dinner. I implied nothing, she said lightly. I said I was uncomfortable. They did the rest. I slid my phone onto the table, screen down. Speaker on. Call him, I said. Tell him what you just told me. She looked at me like a poker player seeing the river and still deciding to bet big. Then she dialed. Mason? She said when he answered. You with her? Yeah, he said. What's up? I don't want you, Naomi said, bored. I used you, your access, your mom, your dad's money. I wanted Hannah. Silence. Then Mason's voice cracked into anger. He said the parts he'd been careful not to text, that he knew I hadn't assaulted her, that he hit me because I embarrassed him, that the $15,000 demand was nothing and I owed him. "You're a checkbook with legs," he snapped. A security guard a few tables away lifted his eyebrow. Naomi didn't flinch. "He's dramatic," she said into the phone. "We'll fix it." "Thanks," I said calmly. "That's enough." I turned the phone so the screen faced them both. "You're on speaker, on camera, being recorded." Her face finally changed. Not anger, surprise. "You set me up," she said. "You set yourself up," I replied. "I just brought a mirror." I stood, walked straight to mall security, filed the incident report, got the number, emailed it to myself, and printed it. Then I drove to the station. I handed over everything. The mirrored chats, the call recordings, dash cam footage, button cam video, the flash drive image with hash, the hallway timeline, the extortion texts, the photo of my face after Mason hit me, the original police report from months earlier. 2 days later, my front door started taking a beating. No text, no warning. Just the kind of knock that says, "Open up, or I'll keep knocking until your neighbors notice." I checked the peephole. My mother. Full makeup, scarf like she was hosting a charity brunch. I cracked the door and she pushed past me like she still had a mortgage there. "You didn't change the locks," she said. "I was worried you'd do something dramatic." Ryan, my friend, stayed on the couch, phone angled at chest level, legal to record. Bless him. She opened with the soft voice. "You're angry. I get it. But legal action isn't who we are." "It's who I am when someone hits me," I said. "Mason is passionate," she replied. "You've always been sensitive." She paced, opened drawers, checked my laundry hamper. She actually said the words, "hidden money." I told her to sit or leave. She squared up, voice rising. "What will people say if you put your own brother in jail? Go on, hit me." I didn't move. She slapped her own cheek, staggered, and dropped to the floor. "He hit me," she cried. Ryan never moved. The camera caught everything. The walk-in, the rummaging, the self-slap, the fall, the audio. My door cam showed her shoulder checking past me to enter. She saw the phone, stood, pointed. "I'm going to the police." "Please do," I said, nodding at the lens. "Bring your best version." She tried one last angle. Grandchildren, holidays, regret. I opened the door. "Get out," I said, "or I call the police and add trespass." For once, she did the math. I labeled the video "living room," 2 days pre-filing, backed it up twice, and wrote the incident summary while it was fresh. The weight didn't fall off all at once. It unhooked quietly. The fallout didn't arrive with sirens. It came in emails, arraignment notices, hearing dates, a form asking if I wanted victim notification updates. Every time I saw the court subject line, my stomach did the small, involuntary nod it had learned from years of being the family's designated problem. Mason was picked up first. Misdemeanor assault for the dinner punch. Attempted extortion tied neatly to the spreadsheet, the group chats, and his $15,000 by Friday text. The officer who called me said he was quiet but irritated, which was exactly how Mason acted when consequences didn't bounce off him. He made bail the same day. Posted something vague about haters on his business page. Deleted it when someone in the comments asked if haters usually come with a case number. Naomi was next. Harassment and stalking for the months of documented run-ins. Attempted extortion for the payment app threats. Trespassing after she let herself into my apartment like she still paid rent. Seeing her name typed in a case caption felt surreal. I kept rereading it until it stopped meaning her and started meaning evidence. My mother tried to turn it into a campaign. A Facebook post asking for prayers for her son as he battles lies. A slideshow of Mason as a toddler. A paragraph about family bonds. My name didn't appear once. I called her. I didn't yell. I didn't explain the law. I told her that if she didn't take it down, I would upload the video of Naomi slapping herself, timestamps, entry footage, audio, everything. The post disappeared an hour later. She never messaged me again. The DA's office moved faster than I expected. The mall recordings, the mirrored chats, the payment notes that literally said, "This payment helps avoid further steps." It all fit together like it had been waiting for the right order. HR at my job confirmed the anonymous email from H. Wells and stated clearly that it had no merit. My boss told me to take whatever time I needed for court. No gossip, no side eyes, just space. Pre-trial took an afternoon. Mason wouldn't look at me. He took a plea. 90 days in county on weekends. 18 months probation. Anger management. Community service. No contact order. He nodded through it like he was waiting for a waiter to bring the bill to someone else's table. Naomi held out longer. Her lawyer wore the expensive, disappointed look. They argued miscommunication, regrettable choices. The assistant DA kept pointing to the transcript where she said, "I neutralized you," and to the video where she slapped herself after asking me to hit her. She pled to felony attempted extortion and misdemeanor stalking. Time served, probation, a 3-year no-contact order, a protective order covering my apartment complex and workplace. She didn't look at me. I didn't need her to. Restitution covered the lock changes, camera upgrades, and missed work. Not a windfall, just my money back. I filed a small civil claim for what didn't fit into the criminal order. It settled quietly at mediation. I used it to pay off my last student loan. After sentencing, my dad called from a blocked number. "You went too far," he said. "Family doesn't do this." "Family doesn't try to bill you $9,000 and call it respect," I replied. He started talking about holidays. I hung up. Cutting contact wasn't one brave decision. It was a series of boring ones. New number, new email, new locks. I added a motion light so bright it turned night into confession. I told the building manager to bounce any package with my last name that wasn't mine. I told 3 friends the truth. Real friends. The kind who show up with a drill on a free Saturday. We set up a bench press in my garage and didn't talk about court once. Peace hides in the ordinary. I started saying yes to things that weren't disasters. Pick up basketball after work, a coworker's housewarming, a welding class because I wanted to learn how to fix what I used to throw away. I started dating again, slowly. A man with no connection to my family, my past, or anyone who thinks group chats are courtrooms. We talk about groceries, schedules, whether mushrooms deserve the pan or the oven. No tests, no traps. Respect feels like silence that doesn't need defending. I'm not asking for applause. I wanted a record. This is mine. I did what I said I would do. They learned what happens when a quiet daughter stops absorbing costs. And I learned that peace isn't a gift you wait for. It's a boundary you build and maintain, like anything worth keeping.